Hey, everybody. I'm Joe Cox, the pop marketer. I study and talk about the places where pop culture and marketing communications meet up. There's never been more competition for your consumers' attention, and I believe that fandom, entertainment, gaming, and youth marketing are no longer considered a low art, but have flipped and can now unlock insights in how we make brand content that people actually choose to spend time with, which is pretty important in 2018. Okay, on day 11 of 100 Days of Pop, I'm going to talk about this book right here and why it pays to read up on youth marketing, even if your consumer or user is not so youthful. The book is Gen Z Frequency by Greg Witt and Derek Baird. It is fresh off the printing press and certified fresh by Pop Marketer. Gen Z is anyone born from 1996 to 2011, give or take a few years. And the Gen Z Frequency is written for brands and agencies that want to learn more about how this upcoming generation is different from the previous and how to activate a product or service by further understanding said differences. Personally, I judge a book by how much meat there is on those bones, not just explaining, but telling you where to start and the process to bring those ideas to life. Very happy to say that the Gen Z Frequency is rad because it's more of a youth marketing playbook than it is a business book. It packs decades of stories, conversations, and work that just doesn't dig into who Gen Z is and what behaviors and ideas unite them, but actually how to bring those insights to life in the real world. Kind of important. It goes through step by step, the research, the planning, the activating, the partnerships, all covered in here. I'll be stealing a ton of it and want to talk about a few things in that today. Pop culture rises up from youth, so any pop marketer must have a grasp on the current zeitgeist with kids from 15 to 30. So it shall be no surprise that a lot of the content can play for both youth as it does for someone wanting to integrate with pop culture or utilize pop marketing techniques to earn audience attention. Witt writes about 3 key behaviors I want to talk about today that permeate through successful youth marketing, and I would say you could say in any kind of modern marketing. Okay, so brands that want to succeed must listen more than they speak, co-create with their users. Third, they can't have commitment issues. First, listening. Brands that want to resonate with youth should always be listening. Not just listening when you have a question that needs answering, but you actually build out a process that consistently is dredging the ether through cultivating in either ethnographic research, social media, and search data, and more from these youth panels and social influencer Q&As where marketers can have a constant dialogue with their users. I'll put it like this. If you're currently making decisions solely based on what your C-suite or clients' kids think is cool, or maybe on research that you downloaded from Adweek this week, these are signs that you may need a listening strategy. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's not a silver bullet, but imagine the empowerment that comes with knowing you have your consumer behind you in the decisions that you make. Next up comes co-creation. It's a no-brainer, for sure. Building content, products, events, experiences in partnership with influencers or brands that resonate with your consumer, or heck, even your consumer themselves. You see, the era of going down in the basement and coming up with an idea in your hands, risen up like Rafiki presenting Simba in The Lion King, is sort of dated. It can even be dangerous. Brands that want to cater to youth know that it is okay to color outside the lines, and they don't have to move the ship all by themselves. Go ahead and share that burden and switch it into a value proposition. The tough part here isn't the idea, right? Like everybody would say, yes, I want to co-create with my consumer. But it's actually building the mechanisms and putting the processes in place to be able to co-create. It's knowing where to start and how to navigate uncharted waters of a partnership. All I can say is don't be afraid to ask for help on building these structures into your marketing plan. That's the consulting that I do for brands for a living. But if you don't have the budgets and you're in a small biz or a bootstrap startup, you can start by buying books like these. And finally, third, brands that want to attract the youth market and Gen Z got to learn how to commit. Personally, I believe the largest failure of brands to be able to engage in culture is that they see it as a campaign or an event, something they have to do now. They believe that if they want to attract those consumers that are into music, say, or music culture, that they can just buy a sponsorship at Coachella, write a check, it's done. If they want to attract gamers, they give some Xboxes away to introduce Lobster Fest or their new pretzel bun. That's just not how it's going to work. Those things are going to lead to A, burning lots of cash and resources with little return on investment, and zero equity built for the culture or for your brand inside that culture. If you want to do it, you got to do it right. Or I'd say just don't do it at all. If you're thinking about it as a campaign, if you're thinking of it as something short or something that you get done with in a couple of months, you're probably thinking of it in the wrong way. There's a great story in the book of Nike and how they introduced SB Dunks and entered skateboard culture. And let me tell you, even for Nike at that time, it is not easy. And it was a commitment over time to build that trust. There is so much more to discuss on youth and generational marketing. I'm having Greg on the Explicit Content Podcast, the author of this, soon, and we'll be discussing more of it. But for sure, we need a few more episodes on the subject. Thanks so much for listening today. And if you're interested in youth marketing or pop marketing, pick up the book, or at very least follow Greg on social webs. He's pretty smart. I'm Joe Cox, the Pop Marketer. I will see you on the next episode of the Pop 100. Thanks so much. See you soon. Yeah, it was a tough one to write. It was a tough one to write today. There's a lot to unpack in youth marketing, and not even youth marketing, but generational. And is there any worth to putting people in big groups by what year they were born? I would say yes, but I'm also the guy that has been in two marketing to millennial books and one Gen Z book, and don't have to take my word for it. Personally, I think it all comes down to technology. This is that first generation ever to be connected since they were born, basically. And studying that is important. So I think that if you are gearing towards youth marketing, that you can better tell the future of what's going to happen in the next 10 years. That's just me.